Alright guys, Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons, and what I've got for you here is another one of these reaction analysis type videos for Bandmaid. The song is called, you're gonna have to give me a second here, Corallium, I think I got it right there. So this one's been suggested a few times, but I got a message through Patreon which kind of made me really want to look at it because the genres that were mentioned in the message being kind of combined into one melting pot was just too intriguing an opportunity for me to pass up. And on that note, before I forget, a huge shout out and a massive thank you to Rabbi Rabs, Matt Hartzman and Glenn Kelly for the continued support on Patreon. If you enjoy what I do here and want to chuck some money in the tip jar, as it were, I'll pop a link to that below. But what I'm really liking about this here is there's some, for my kind of Bandmaid knowledge that I've picked up, I can see a few things here. We got Sense, so I was told this is a B-side or one of the B-sides to Sense, so that's there. It says Bandmaid and a shadow in the back, and I've also noticed a pigeon. So I've managed to pick out 3 references. I'm sure there's plenty more here, so have a field day in the comments if you can spot all the things. It's reminding me a bit of the Iron Maiden album cover for Somewhere in Time, where there's all these little nerdy references and sort of in-jokes to all things Iron Maiden. Yeah, as usual, I've gone on for far too long. Let's just hop into this, see what we've got. A city bop vibe, okay. Nice kind of DQ on it as well. Cool. Okay, and then to a kind of more typical, slightly manic Bandmaid thing. So if I've not put my warning out already, I will pause stuff and break down what's going on here. That's kind of what these videos are about. So some stuff I kind of want to talk about off the bat. 28 seconds in. It's typical of them, isn't it? So what I was talking about at the start here, sounds a bit like there's a genre called city bop. There was a tune back a few years ago that was just got really viral. What was it? Plastic something? I forget the name of it. If I remember or work it out, I'll add it up here. But it's this kind of genre that I think originated in Japan, and that's very much what the start sounds like. When I was talking about EQ, what they've done is they've kind of, there's not many low frequencies on it, right? You've got kind of what you call a high pass filter. So all the highs are allowed to pass, the lows are kind of being cut out a bit. And what it means is when the band kind of kicks in and you got the bass and the drums, it's going to sound bigger again because there's all these frequencies that aren't really being used. So like here, there's just this big kind of impact when all of it kind of comes in. And the big fill on the toms was what made me pause it there. I quite enjoyed that. Almost a kind of Phil Collins 80s round the kit fill. Nice. So some octave tricks from Kanami, I think, here. Cool. Okay, I can see where you'd have got like hip hop things from. For me, this is like a Streets of Rage soundtrack versus nu metal. The big kind of chugging. Oh, hang on. Forgotten the lyrics. Let's see if I can get them up. No lyrics here, but I mean, how often do I remember to read them with all the other stuff going on anyway? So this is kind of interesting because that guitar line, where are we? Let's check that's right. Something like that. It's either a bend or a slide using the kind of blues scale. Either sliding or bending. At its heart, that's kind of a bluesy lick, but because she's got these effects on, I'll dive into this a bit more once I've got through the song, it sounds more contemporary. And this is a trick that they use quite a lot. It's taken, you know, kind of staple, you could do like kind of 70s rock type of licks, but changing enough about it that it sounds a bit more fresh and contemporary. Probably sliding rather than bending, I think. Like this sounds like, yeah, this sounds like something off a Mega Drive soundtrack to me. That bass tone just fills up so much of the spectrum, it's great. Quite heavy for them as well. Again with the dynamics, letting things drop out, coming back in, so it's all the more powerful when it does. A lot of chromatics in this one as well, that's the thing that they do quite well. And like circus fairground type vibe. I'm surprised this is a B-side, you know? Cool. Like a dime bag style, like, nice. Cool, let's pop that back and break some stuff down. So you like a pentatonic, what we're... So we're probably... something like that, going up a pentatonic scale. And then... Oh, that, yeah. So that's kind of calling back to the lead that she's already kind of implanted in her brains that she's been doing throughout the song, right? Nice little callback there. And again, this kind of effect on so it doesn't sound too bluesy, because otherwise it will sound more like a kind of bluesy solo. So I think you need a blues note there. I think it's there. Let's have a listen. I need to warm up a little bit here, don't know if I'll get it. Yeah, so we're kind of going down the blues scale, but with a kind of ferocious picking. Makes it sound, again, like it just, blues scale, sped up, effect on, sounds more modern. Yeah, and some more pentatonic things to round up. Nice. Really spacious kind of reverb on the backing vocals, a lot of atmosphere coming from that. Really like the production on the kick drum specifically, sounding full and fat but still very defined. I'm trying to lock into the bass here. Yeah, so it's one of these songs, there's a lot of changes here. Real manic energy to them, a lot of these songs. Yeah, cool. So there's the stuff that we've kind of heard from them before, the kind of chromatics and the tricks, adding effects on the guitar to make it sound more modern, that kind of thing. But again, as ever, putting in these extra little things, that kind of city bop intro with the kind of the EQ filter to have more of the highs and the lows, chuggy new metal, or for me, I definitely got some like old school 16-bit video game soundtrack vibes as well. I could also hear like maybe a bit of a hip hop or like potentially Rage Against the Machine type influences filtering through there as well. Cool, so I'll pick a couple of things and let's just break them down. Alright, so those familiar with the channel, if you're not, hello, feel free to do the whole subscribe and notifications thing. I'll also link to other Bandmaid analysis reactions videos I've done with the eye up there. But what's happening is there's an effect on called pitch shifting. So we're getting this one here. And you're getting a slightly more synthetic sound. I've covered this in more depth, so again, I will link to that and not bore the people that have heard me talk about this a million times before. Alright, so I'm going to play that hook she had running through the song that I really liked, and I'll break down what's going on. Okay, that is surprisingly fiddly because of these little semitone slides. So we start with this 12th around the B, sliding down to the 11th. So you have just taking that one, sliding down, feeling off to the 9th, down to that 10th of the G. So just picking it once on the B string, down to the G, right? So I had to spend a bit of time figuring out how I'm going to slide efficiently here. I do have a tiny bit of a cold just now. So I do tend to find my fingers don't work quite as well, even if I'm just a little bit under the weather. So I might be making life more difficult for myself than it needs to be, just because my hands aren't working properly. The best thing to do in terms of this technique is to kind of slide between the frets and try and figure out how you can do it accurately with as little pressure as possible. I'm finding using the tip of my finger better than using more of the pad. If I use more of the pad, it doesn't flow as easily. I'm putting too much pressure against the string, right? So you kind of try and keep it light. Maybe even reinforce it with other fingers just for a bit more stability. With all things guitar related, keep it slow. I slopped it there. Until you're more comfortable with it, and then start to speed it up. Whether you want to move your whole hand with your kind of thumb floating or anchor, I'm not too sure what would be better. I need to spend a bit more time with this technique. She does seem to use slides an awful lot though, so I'm wondering if she's like low-key trying to make that kind of like a trademark thing, because I had a quick go at doing the thing that she did, and I can't get it clean yet. That's something I'll need to spend a lot more time working on. So hopefully have that ready for like a future video or something like that, if I do some licks on her. And the second half of that, like, so you're sliding very quickly from the 11th up to the 12th. I think it's there, it's more of like a grace note decoration. She might be going straight to the 12th, but I think it's in there. And then back down, back up, back down to the 9th fret, which I think is just a pull off, and then hitting that 11th. So that bit slowly. I put them back to back. Then, as I say, they're kind of confusing. I cannot get clean. You heard it there. Make up for my terrible sloppy work with that sliding thing, I'll break down that kind of cool fast like she had there. So we're using the blues scale again. We're up at the 13th fret on the B. You're going down to 12, and then down to 11. Then you're going to go into the G string, hit the 13, and then come up the way you came. So you have an 11, 12 to 13. So when you're picking this, the thing that's really tricky about this is the speed, and that she's alternate picking it. Like normally she'll do lots of legato hammers on, so it's still fast, it's still difficult to do, but because it's just one hand doing the heavy lifting in terms of the speed, it's not as difficult as something like this where your hands really have to sync up. So you're going to have to alternate pick this one, which is not ideal. If you really want to work on alternate picking this kind of speed, I would suggest checking out a thing called pick slanting. I've covered how to do this before, so I'll link to a tutorial with the eye up there. In a nutshell, it's all to do with how the plectrum's orientated and making sure you can get over the strings. So the way I would play this would be starting on an upstroke. I would go up, down, up, and I'm making sure my pick is... Just switch to a white pick there. There might be a really bad edit from me, so I do apologise if it was very jumpy and disorientating there. I'd be starting on an up, down, up, and I'm making sure my pick's orientated this way so that my forearm's kind of rotated like that. So this is exaggerated, it won't be half as much as this when I'm picking at speed, but you want the pick to be pointing up, because this enables you to come over the string and hit the next one with a down, right? If the pick was slanted this way and I did up, down, up, I'm going to hit this next string with an upstroke. I'm not going to be able to physically hit it with a downstroke unless I kind of hop over it, and that's just going to slow you down. But to give you an example of how kind of subtle this is, when I'm hopping over the strings, there's barely any kind of movement there. It's not, I'm really not holding it, you know, like that. It's not like a Marty Friedman style grip or anything. And when you've hit that downstroke on the G, you want to rotate back to this kind of position. So if I exaggerate it to kind of demonstrate what I'm doing here, right, flip round, and flip round after that and back to this way. So I'm doing that when I'm picking it here, but on a very small scale, so you can probably see when I'm going down to this note and back up to this one. There is a kind of movement going on here, and that's the aforementioned forearm rotation. And subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of thing. Join Patreon if you want to support the channel. If you want to check out more videos, you can see reaction playlists there, or more Bandmaid specific stuff there. Take it easy, guys. Have a good one.